That is pig. That is hay. That is jug. It, please. That is sod. That is mat. That is tub. It's the... That is car. That is cat. Please, that is a box. Try again, please. That is sod. That is jug. That is a boy. Please try again. That is bug. That is rug. That is a ham. Please try again. That is jug. Please. That is a sub. Try again. That is bat. That is cup. That is hen. That is hen. That is pen. That is a fox. Please try again. That is tub. That is cub. That is pod. That is pup. That is hat. That is a mat. Please try again. That is a jug. That is cod. That is rag. Try again, please. That is bat. That is fox. That is box. That is J. That is a bug. That is a rod. Please try again. That rod. Please. That is cup. Please click something. That is a fox. Please try again. That is cow. That is a car. That is sod. That is car. That is rod. That is a boy. Try again.